I guess I'm going to be talking a lot about Bill Maher today because there was a clip from that same episode where Amy Klobuchar was a guest, Pramila Jayapal was also a guest, and the Bernie bro narrative has really it's amped up again. Like they're really hammering it again. Michael Bloomberg's using it, and it's really had a domino effect. And fortunately, this was all leading up to the Nevada caucus, and he still won in a landslide. So they're grasping at straws at this point. And here's Bill Maher and Pramila Jayapal talking about it.
Tell me about something that I've been reading about lately, that there is a myth of the Bernie bros. We had this image, I must admit, I did too.
Doesn't look like me.
No, but that it was mostly these younger, incel-y white men. And I read the statistics, and no. In fact, Bernie does worse with white men than anybody, and it's more women who are for him, more Latinos. Well, how did we get it wrong? Twitter.
Twitter. I mean, I do think Twitter is a big part of it. People look at that and think it means everything.
Right.
But Bernie Sanders has assembled the most diverse coalition there is. He is energizing young people. He's got tons of women of color. He's got tons of people of color more broadly. But he is also playing to a forgotten group of blue-collar workers who really believe he's going to fight for them. And that combination of this very diverse coalition of voters that have not turned out before, that frankly any other candidate would be thrilled to have this kind of coalition, he's got them, but he is also speaking to a lot of people that really feel like he will fight for them. I mean, just in 2016, we lost Michigan for the first time in 28 years. Democrats lost Michigan. We lost Wisconsin for the first time in 32 years. Guess who won 71 of 72 counties in Wisconsin? It was Bernie Sanders. So when you look at the appeal of Bernie Sanders, I think it is really unusual to have somebody who can do both things, really build that broader base, but also play to these some of them Trump voters.
Yes.
So first of all, I want to, I need to really give kudos to the rich white guy for deciding that he was wrong and recognizing that and vocalizing that on live television. It's not television, it's HBO, but you know what I mean. Did I say HBO? It's HBO. And obviously Pramila Jayapal knocks it out of the park there, explains it's been a myth the whole time. There are toxic people on the internet. Get over it. It is not tied directly to one candidate. It's everybody. They hide behind the anonymity and they can just talk shit. So the Bernie bro attacks ramped back up, and they were spearheaded by none other than Mike Bloomberg. And he sent an email to all of his supporters. He also released a commercial. Maybe I'll plug that in somewhere. But he sent a press release to his mailing list. And here, we'll read some of it. Bernie's new bro, Donald Trump. In response to the repeated attacks by Bernie Sanders, his spokespeople, and supporters, today Mike Bloomberg 2020 responded against baseless charges espoused online, in print, and on TV. It's a shameful turn of events to see Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump deploy the very same attacks and tactics against Mike. But the reason is clear. At this point, the primary is Bernie's to lose and ours to win. Bernie knows this. Trump knows this. That's why they are united in the campaign against Mike, said Bloomberg campaign manager Kevin Sheekley. United in the campaign against Mike. I would love to see Trump and Bernie unite to dunk on Mike Bloomberg. Just the idea of the 8th wealthiest person on earth or in the country, whatever it is, crying about some mean comments online is just hilarious. But as far as I remember now, that commercial came out, and then there was a lot of pushback from the Sanders campaign of like, who are you, like, really? You're going to target voters? These are people who are voting for you. They're like, no, it's their spokespeople. And then they're specific about some of the tweets. So here we go. In just the past week, Bernie Sanders' National Press Secretary Brianna Joy Gray, Senior Advisor David Sirota, and National Campaign Co-Chair Nina Turner have referred to Mike as a racist and an oligarch, implied Donald Trump is better than a fellow Democratic candidate for president, and called Bloomberg supporters enablers. All 100% true. Michael Bloomberg has a more horrific record than Donald Trump, at least prior to becoming president. You could argue, he reigns over our drone program, and as the commander-in-chief, you are inherently just a war criminal unless you're, pulling us out of countries where we shouldn't be. But if we're talking Trump 2016 and versus Mike Bloomberg 2020, Mike Bloomberg 2020, a way more horrific person. So this is not something that I thought of myself, but people were like, you're gonna promote some of these posts now because they're all 100% accurate. So here's the posts. They're from that email, from that press release. Some examples of these attacks are here. This first one's from Brianna Joy Gray. Greyjoy? Is she a Game of Thrones character? I love Brianna Joy Gray, by the way. If you wouldn't even condone a tweet criticizing a racist authoritarian like Bloomberg, you are a fence-sitting enabler of the worst variety and have no business holding yourself out as a Democrat, much less a progressive. The next one, Oligarch of the Month, Mike Bloomberg. And that's from Nina Turner. This next one is also from Brianna Joy Gray. Moreover, we have no reason to believe Bloomberg's newfound political commitments. He has demonstrated a willingness to change his stripes with the political winds, and because he's self-funded, is literally accountable to no one. The danger he presents cannot be overstated. Here's the next one, again from Brianna Joy Gray. Trump will say he has a better record on criminal justice than Bloomberg, and he may be right. From David Sirota, I'm told Mike Bloomberg isn't an oligarch. He's just a billionaire who buys elections and is a part-time resident of a foreign tax haven. And the last one from Nina Turner. I may not have a PhD yet, but I do have a good sense of knowing what makes for oligarchy. Anyone caping for a billionaire with a media company able to buy endless ads and influence party rules halfway through is precisely a perpetrator of the corrupt system, i.e., an oligarch. So the tweets he uses prove the point that they're making. It's hilarious. So the point that I want to get to is that this isn't where it ended. Obviously, this became a bit of a narrative leading into the Nevada caucus, and a lot of the politicians chimed in, one of which being our friend Elizabeth Warren.
Do you feel, and you're someone who's actually come under that attack before, back in Iowa, back in January, do you feel like he's done enough to condemn the culture online that stems from his movement?
I've said before that we are all responsible for what our supporters do. And I think Bernie has a lot of questions to answer here.
And the way that I saw this, it was shared by Twitter user Jack Allison, where he says, here's Elizabeth Warren jumping in with Bloomberg and Biden to target Bernie supporters. This is ridiculous. It's a presidential election. Grow up. For the record, politicians do not have a responsibility for the way that their supporters behave. And it is absolutely insane that somebody who purports herself to be an ally to the movement that Bernie Sanders is the leader of would act like that's the case. It's this kind of bad faith bullshit that is proof that she is not on our team. She's in this for herself, just like the rest of these centrist corporatists. And so here's what I said when I shared that video. People are legit still talking about the possibility of Warren running on a ticket with Bernie. Seriously, get real. She's consistently gone beyond simple political disagreements and stooped to gross personal attacks these past couple months. It is over. It is over. As much as we like watching her dunk on Mike Bloomberg at the debates and like certain things that she says at the debates and things that she says that she stands for, she consistently shows her colors. She shows who she is in moments like this. Instead of saying, they're blowing this out of proportion, this is clearly not an indication of what kind of person Bernie is or what kind of person that most of Bernie's supporters are. She instead goes on the offensive and says, yeah, Bernie's supporters are toxic and he needs to reel them in. It's incredibly disappointing in a long series of disappointing things that Elizabeth Warren has done. I don't like to see it, and I don't like to have to say it, but it sucks. Because, if you asked me a year ago, or maybe even less than that, whether I'd like to see that ticket, I would say yeah. But now, if we see that ticket, that's going to mean Bernie absolutely turned on himself, because she keeps turning on him. And you don't see it going the other way. You don't see him coming out and saying, it's kind of fucked up that she pretended to be a Native American this whole time, which he would be 100% justified in doing that. But he doesn't do that. He doesn't jump in on these narratives that the media picks up on and tries to get them to go at each other over. In fact, when they try to get him to stoop to that kind of level, he always pushes it off. He's like, this isn't about that. This is about the working class movement so that we can have Medicare for all and a new future for America. He's consistent in doing that. And Elizabeth Warren is consistent in doing this kind of bullshit.
Isn't that nice?